Wow, that's such a cool idea to build. Why didn't I figure it out myself? Let's learn how to build Maizen characters.
Round 1.
I start building my Maizen character version of myself, and I decide to keep it simple, but still recognizable. I use lime wool as the main material because it matches the typical Maizen style and immediately gives that bright cartoon look. I begin by shaping the upper part of my body, almost like a standing display model, but without arms and legs. I think focusing on the torso first helps me control proportions better, because if the body becomes too wide or too thin, the whole character will look strange later. I also leave space around the edges for a structure that feels a bit like a frame or a box, almost like I am building a stylized statue rather than a full character. This helps keep everything clean and readable from a distance, which is important for YouTube viewers who need to recognize the shape quickly. Next, I start forming something like a surrounding structure that feels similar to a house outline around my character. I use lime wool for most of it, but I also think about contrast so the build does not become one solid color blob. That is why I later switched to yellow concrete for the middle section on the front side. The yellow creates a strong visual break and helps define the chest area of the character. When building pixel-style characters, color separation is very important because it helps the viewer understand where each body part begins and ends. I also insert glass into the window areas, which makes the structure feel more open and less like a completely sealed statue. Glass is useful here because it adds transparency without breaking the overall color scheme. I keep adjusting the frame so everything stays symmetrical, since even small imbalance becomes very noticeable in character builds. Now I move upward to the head, which is the most important part of the build because it carries the personality. I shape the head using lime wool again so it stays consistent with the body, but I try to make the outline slightly rounder so it feels more like a cartoon character rather than a rigid block. The face is intentionally simple, so I place black wool for the eyes and use a combination of black and red for the mouth. Even though the design is minimal, facial expression matters a lot because it defines how the character feels to the viewer. A slightly uneven or poorly centered face can completely change the perception of the statue. That is why I carefully step back several times to check alignment from different angles. I want the expression to feel neutral but still recognizable as a Maizen-style character, almost like a simplified version of myself inside the Minecraft world. Phew! It took so much effort! Great, my Mikey is ready.
Hello?
Hey, Banana Kid, look! I built it! Do you like?
No.
What? Did I make my face too simple?
Oh.
It's a pity, but I tried so hard. Maybe then you'll try to build the best Maizen characters yourself?
Yay!
They ran to the place. This is where your building will be. Are you ready?
Yahoo!
Then go ahead.
Round 2.
Banana starts building a statue of Carrie, and the first thing I notice is how important leg placement is for humanoid builds. He begins with white wool legs placed very close together, almost as one combined structure. At first this looks stable, but I can already see a problem forming, because when legs are too close, the character loses balance visually and becomes harder to read. In Minecraft character design, spacing between legs is actually important because it defines posture. Banana continues building upward into the torso and arms, and he uses red wool to represent the shirt area. The red color works well here because it immediately separates clothing from the white base. However, the early mistake in leg spacing starts to affect the proportions, and I think this is a good example of why planning silhouettes before building is important. After noticing the issue, Banana realizes the legs do not look correct and decides to rebuild them. He separates them into 2 individual columns, which immediately improves the stability of the entire statue. This is actually a very useful lesson for viewers, because many builders are afraid to rebuild parts of their structure even when something looks wrong. In reality, fixing proportions early saves a lot of time later. Once the legs are corrected, the torso looks much more natural, and the arms connect better to the body. I also like how the red shirt section becomes more visible now, because the improved stance allows the color blocking to stand out properly. Color and structure always work together in character builds, and one without the other usually feels incomplete. Now Banana moves to the head, which he builds using a white wool outline first. Starting with a frame is a smart decision because it allows better control over facial proportions. Inside the face, he places a black wool mouth and constructs the eyes using a combination of white chroma blocks and black concrete. This contrast creates strong facial definition and helps the expression become readable even from a distance. After finishing the face, he closes the remaining head structure with white wool, forming a complete head shape. He also adds ears on the front side, which gives the character more identity and makes it feel less like a generic model. Even small additions like ears can significantly change how a character is perceived, especially in stylized Minecraft builds.
Where did everyone run off to? Hey guys, what's all that noise?
Banana Kid and I are building Maizen characters, JJ. Who did it better?
Oh, both of your buildings look great, but I think it's up to the audience to decide who did the best.
Yes, JJ, you're right. Maybe then you have comments on the construction of Banana Kid.
Yes, there are a couple of comments. Your Carrie turned out to be very square. It looks kind of flat.
I totally agree with you, JJ. Maybe you will build Maizen characters.
Okay, then let's run to the place.
JJ, good luck to you. We'll wait in the house.
Thanks, guys. Then I'm starting. Round 3. I start my statue by carefully establishing the foundation. Because in any humanoid Minecraft build, the legs define not only the height, but also the entire stability of the silhouette. I use black concrete for both legs and place each block with strict attention to spacing and alignment. Even a small shift in positioning can break symmetry, and symmetry is one of the most important principles in character construction. I constantly step back to check how both sides mirror each other, because the human eye immediately notices imbalance in large structures. At this stage, I am not focused on detail or decoration, only on structural correctness. If the base is wrong, everything above it will feel unstable, no matter how well it is built later. I continue refining the leg structure by reinforcing the connection points where the upper body will eventually attach. This transition area is important because it visually separates movement from torso mass. I avoid leaving flat or unfinished edges, since those can make the build feel incomplete from the start. Instead, I shape the upper leg area so it naturally prepares for the torso expansion. In humanoid design, this lower transition is often underestimated, but it plays a key role in making the statue feel grounded in its environment rather than floating visually. Now, I begin constructing the torso using a combination of red and white blocks. The purpose here is not only structural, but also visual communication, because color separation defines how the viewer reads the character. Red forms the central clothing mass, while white acts as a highlighting layer that breaks up large surfaces and prevents monotony. Without this separation, the torso would appear flat and uninteresting. I also ensure that the width of the torso matches the leg spacing, because proportional consistency is essential for believable character scaling in Minecraft. I refine the torso further by adjusting its shape to avoid a purely box-like appearance. Even in block-based design, subtle shaping improves realism and visual flow. I slightly vary depth on different sides to create a more natural silhouette when viewed from multiple angles. I also reinforce internal block placement so the structure feels visually solid. Even though Minecraft builds do not require physical support systems, visual weight distribution is still crucial for making the statue feel intentional and well-designed. Next, I begin extending the torso upward into the shoulder region. This area determines how the arms will later connect, so I carefully plan spacing before placing any additional blocks. I make sure the upper torso transitions smoothly rather than forming a sharp geometric cutoff. This gradual shaping is important because humanoid figures need continuity between sections to feel coherent. I keep checking proportions relative to the legs to ensure the entire structure maintains a unified scale. Now I start constructing the arms using red and black concrete. The arms extend outward in a controlled position, not too stiff, but also not overly dynamic, because balance is more important than motion in statue design. I carefully match both sides so they mirror each other precisely. Arm length plays a major role in silhouette readability, especially when viewed from a distance. If the arms are too short, the character feels compressed. If too long, it feels exaggerated. I aim for a natural proportion that supports the rest of the body. I continue refining the arms by shaping the elbows and adjusting thickness so they do not look like simple straight pillars. Even slight variations in block placement can create the impression of joints and structure. At the ends of the arms, I use white terracotta to represent hands or gloves. This material contrast is important because it clearly defines where the limbs end, improving readability. Without this separation, the arms would blend into the torso visually, reducing clarity. Now, I transition to the head, which is the most expressive and visually important part of the entire statue. I begin with a white terracotta base because it provides a neutral surface for facial construction. Before placing any details, I carefully define the head shape and proportions relative to the body. If the head is too large, it dominates the statue. If too small, it loses presence. I constantly evaluate scale to ensure it matches the rest of the figure. I begin adding facial features using white chroma blocks for the eyes combined with light blue concrete. This combination creates a subtle but noticeable contrast that helps the face stand out without overwhelming the design. Eye placement is extremely sensitive, so I align them precisely in the center. Even minor asymmetry can change the entire perceived expression of the character. I aim for a calm and controlled look that fits the overall Maizen-inspired design style. I refine the facial structure further by adjusting spacing around the eyes and smoothing transitions between different facial zones. Even in Minecraft, facial design benefits from layered thinking, where each block contributes to depth perception. I make sure the face does not feel flat by slightly adjusting protrusions and recesses in the structure. This helps create a more dimensional appearance when viewed from different angles. Next, I add hair using brown wool, which softens the contrast between the rigid structural blocks and the face. Hair plays an important role in breaking up sharp edges and adding visual variety. I also construct a hood using black and red concrete, framing the head and guiding the viewer's focus toward the eyes. The hood also helps define the character identity and reinforces the color scheme used throughout the body. This framing technique improves readability and makes the face easier to recognize from a distance. I finalize the base statue by reviewing all proportions and making final adjustments before scaling. At this stage, I check the relationship between head, torso, and arms to ensure consistency. Small corrections are important because once the structure is enlarged or duplicated, mistakes become more noticeable. After confirming stability, I prepare the build for transformation into a larger version that will serve as the final visual centerpiece. Now, I use a command to insert a pre-built larger version of the same statue. This immediately changes the scale and impact of the build, turning it into a dominant structure in the environment. The increased size allows for smoother curves and more detailed shaping across all body sections. Larger builds naturally support more complex visual layering, which enhances realism and presence. The statue now feels less like a simple character and more like a landmark. After placing the scaled version, I begin creating interior access points so the structure becomes functional. I design entry routes and install staircases that connect different internal levels. Movement inside the statue must feel logical and accessible, not random or confusing. I use brick blocks for flooring because they provide strong visual grounding and contrast against the outer structure. This helps define the interior as a separate architectural space rather than just empty volume. I continue building the interior walls using redstone blocks, which create a saturated and intense visual atmosphere. This strong coloration makes the interior feel enclosed and dramatic. To balance this intensity, I place white wool on the ceiling, which introduces brightness and prevents visual overload. I also add structural details such as trapdoors to break up large flat surfaces and introduce subtle variation. These small additions improve depth perception and make the interior feel more designed. I'm doing great! I'm almost done! Now, I begin furnishing the interior to transform it into a livable space. I place essential furniture such as a bed, side table, and lamp to create a resting zone. This immediately gives the interior a functional identity rather than just architectural presence. I then add a sofa and television to form a living area, making the space feel more modern and realistic. Furniture placement is important because it defines how the viewer imagines movement and usage inside the build. I continue furnishing by adding wardrobes, storage chests, crafting tables, furnaces, and anvils. These elements establish the interior as a fully functional environment rather than a decorative shell. I also include bookshelves and an enchanting table to create a specialized corner for progression and knowledge. Finally, I place a red and black wool carpet across the floor, unifying all interior colors into a single cohesive design and completing the overall visual structure of the statue. Great! My statue is ready! It's time for me to show it to the guys.
What?
Wow, JJ, you've got such a voluminous and beautiful JJ. I really like him.
Thank you guys. I am very glad that you liked my building. Friends, be sure to write in the comments whose building you like the most. Well, I think it's time for us to finish.
Yes, JJ, you're right.
Subscribe and like. Bye-bye.
Wow, that's such a cool idea to build. Why didn't I figure it out myself? I definitely should try to build Ghast. Mikey, round! I'm starting construction. To begin with, I put white concrete blocks and build my Ghast's legs out of them. I put white terracotta blocks on top. I start building Ghast's body out of concrete. I build his mouth and cheeks out of terracotta. And now, his eyes out of brown terracotta. I build his face with blocks. I finish building his head from behind. I put blocks on top. Phew! It took so much effort. Great, my Ghast is ready. Hey, Banana Kid, look! I built it. Do you like? What? Don't you like it? I'm not sure if you can beat me in construction. Don't even dream about it. I am the best builder. Maybe you can try to build a better one yourself? They ran to the place. This is where your building will be. Are you ready? Then go ahead.
Where did everyone run off to? Hey guys, what's all that noise?
Banana Kid and I are building Ghast, DJ. Who did it better?
Oh, both of your buildings look great, but I think it's up to the audience to decide who did the best.
Yes, JJ, you're right. Let's look at the Banana Kid building then.
Banana Kid, your Ghast is very cute. You did a good job.
I totally agree with you. Maybe you'll build Ghast too?
Okay, then let's run to the place as soon as possible.
JJ, good luck to you. We'll wait in the house.
Thanks, guys. Then I'm starting. JJ round. I'll need different blocks of wool and planks to build it. I'm starting construction. To begin with, I put blocks of white wool, build a pillar out of them. Here, I start building the Ghast's body. I also build its second tentacle. From above, I make the creature's mouth out of gray concrete. I build the Ghast's face with white wool. I start building his glasses out of oak planks. I build a second eyepiece. I put ordinary and white glass in the lens on the other hand. I build up the glasses with ice. I finish building the Ghast face out of white wool. Put light gray and brown concrete blocks on top. I start building out of blue wool. On this side, I do the same. On this side, I put blue concrete blocks and yellow wool. I also add light gray and brown concrete blocks. I continue to build from blue concrete. I fill up the empty space with brown wool. I'm doing the same thing on this side. I'm completing the outline of Ghast's body. Starting to build up the upper part of his body with brown concrete blocks. And closing the voids with blocks at the back. I'm finishing the Ghast cape with yellow wool, brown, light gray, and blue concrete. I'm completing the base of the Ghast body from below. Starting to build up the voids around the edges with blocks. Doing the same from behind. And now from this side. I build up the lower part of Ghast's body with white wool blocks. From below, I finish building the extreme tentacles of Ghast. And also add a few more between them. I put a white fence on the ground. make a passage, and put a gate. Inside this hedge, I plant trees, flowers, and grass. And grow vegetation using bone meal grate. Now, I'm making a hole inside the Ghast. Putting a spiral staircase from below. And rebuilding it a bit. Inside, I finish the walls with white wool. It's time for furniture. I put up a bed, a bedside table, and a lamp, anvils with foliage for decoration, various chests, a workbench, and stoves. I'm also putting up an enchanted table and bookshelves, and I'm adding even more foliage and wool on top. I remove the chests and stoves on both sides. Now I'm putting the stoves and the workbench here, and the chests here, and I'm adding an anvil with foliage between them. On the same side, I put up a TV, cabinets for clothes and shoes, as well as a sofa, put up racks for armor, complete this wall, and hang paintings. Hang armor on racks. Great! My Ghast is ready. It's time for me to show it to the guys.
Wow, JJ, you got a really great Ghast. I like it.
Thank you guys. I am very glad that you liked my building. Friends, be sure to write in the comments whose building you liked the most. Well, I think it's time for us to finish.
Yes, JJ, you're right.
Subscribe and like. Bye-bye.